FESIG, the free energy special interest group, where science meets spirituality in the quest for truth and knowledge to free humanity and transform this planet into a paradise.
FESIG is a free energy special interest group, a platform where science meets spirituality. And I have here with me the people at the helm of FESIG. We have Pontus Hafjer, Dr. Fres Prezel, James Rink. And we had been doing this for like 7 years now, 7 years, FESIG. And we have amassed quite a lot of very good, brilliant speakers from all over on not only just free energy, but free energy encompasses healing anyway. The healing modalities are here as well in our platform. And we have today's agenda. So the first session speaker is Rene Swain, Arcturian, who spoke at our 80th and 82nd FESIG meetings, 3 meetings he spoke in the past. That was almost 2 years ago now, on developing his Atlantean MedBed prototype and his other Futuristic Arcturian Products 2 years ago. And today we'll be following up on his successful completion and launching of his CellWell Med Bed world premiere at the Conscious Life Expo LA in February, not too long ago, February the 10th and to the 13th, 2023. He has single-handedly built his Ascension Med Bed for therapeutic cell communication treatment. This is so amazing, folks. I mean, normally inventors will have a whole team of scientists and manufacturers with them, developers and such, but Rene built it with his own bare hands, which he did a time-lapse photography on that we were showing in the old meetings. If you go to FESIG's channel, you'll be able to see the 80th meeting, 82nd meeting, when Rene was talking about his MedBed, when he was then at that time building and building and building. And our James Rink had actually gone over to where he was and tried on his MedBed. So after the session, after his presentation, James will be bringing up his own presentation on MedBeds generally, making an appraisal of the different kinds of MedBeds and the different manufacturers, makers, and all. It will be fun, folks. Just stay on, all right? So if you want to get hold of me, just write to, stay on for the second session, because we have a second session speaker, Randy Hatton, who will be talking about the full spectrum of water, another exciting and interesting subject. Everything is like for healing here. The source of all life, and is water. Yeah, of course, is the source of all life, isn't it? He will talk about the different types of water and the differences between the full spectrum structured bottle and tap water, and so on and so forth. And he had actually spent about 25 years, 30 years building and developing on his own vibrant water spectrum and turning water into medicine in the 5th dimensional heart-based plasma technology. So he's got unique properties that he developed in his toroidal motion of the water spiral, the vortex water. So stay on for that, folks. Okay, if you want to write to me, write to crystal@truevisionofpeace.com, and do visit our website, truevisionofpeace.com/FESIG, FESIG.html, and subscribe to all our video channels, please. BitChute, YouTube, Odyssey, and join us in our FESIG group, FESIG_group at Telegram. So you can interact with each other, you can interact with the speakers, you can exchange notes and do group studies together, folks. So it's very useful to join our Telegram group. And I'll be posting a lot of new stuffs, updates, and Ascension Intel reports anyway, so you get a lot of it. Yeah. Right, so folks, without much ado, I am going to introduce Renee properly. In MedBeds, we had Randy Kramer coming into FESIG to talk about the MedBeds as well. James has done a lot of videos on MedBeds, so it's a very good team today, folks. Right. So Renee is a conscious engineer for human civilization and planetary advance. He talks about photonic L level activation, um, intracellular biovital dynamic enhancement, chakra harmonizer, intra-superluminous cell communication amplifier. Rene Swain Arcturus Ra of Lanai City, Hawaii, is the founder, CEO, owner of Photonics TM, founder of Photonics TM at Dimensional Communications and gatekeeper at Reseeding Earth Living Library. He is an Arcturian starseed, awakening to purpose starseed ambassador, Arcturus Ra Products. Arcturus Ra shares his personal awakening and his remembrance in the past meetings. I mean, he did that. Okay, so now today he's talking about his medbeds, which is very important and which is like everyone here is awaiting to hear about his medbeds, which is like, wow, I'm going to be quite a savior. So he did in the past share knowledge of the mysteries of the universe, how to biohack yourself into, to see other dimensions where we go at night when we sleep, and much more fascinating information about his and our ET heritage. He has built a whole range of futuristic products inspired by his heritage of the multi-dimensional culture and sciences. Well, as I said before, he has single-handedly built his Atlantean ascension bed for therapeutic cell communication treatments. So now over to you, Arcturus Ra, Rene Swain.
My challenge was to, a lot of people believe a lot of things, but to believe is to not know. So to believe is a suspect thing, psychologically speaking, because you have not had the experience. So break the paradigm by what doesn't require a belief system is if you bring something from the invisible realm to the visible realm. That goes way back to, if you're familiar with, you can say, Madame Blavatsky teachings, 1834 treatise on cosmic fire, higher dimensional transmissions, theosophical, and they claimed her to be black witchcraft, all of this. We got to get out of the mythological belief system of good and bad. We have to get into science and applicable science. So I heard about med beds and rollouts for almost 20 years and nothing ever was done. So I looked at, how do I make this physical? That means breaking the paradigm. Also, mind you, my med bed does not work with electricity. It is, if you know what energies are required to work with harmonizing energies, you step away from electricity. Anybody that runs scalar technology with electricity, in my mind, is not doing it how our forefathers did it. The pyramids are not plugged in. The holy places that I have observed are not plugged in, but in the earth. So what holy places did I observe and what did I see? So what is it that all of these holy places, Sedona, Hawaii, Niagara Falls, King's Chamber, Unfinished Chamber, Queen's Chamber, the Pyramid in Bosnia, the Holy Well of Lourdes in France, what do they have in common? Well, I break it down to observe this. Magnetic anomalies, photons, negative ions. Yeah, that creates, the way it is set up, a standing wave, which is a scalar wave. And a scalar wave means uninterrupted wave. The pyramid in Bosnia, such as the pyramid on the Gizeh Plateau, are not plugged in into any electric outlet. But yet they produce a electromagnetic column wave going upwards from the chamber, from the pyramid up the way this device is placed. It's like a generator. It's measurable. We don't know what this is for, what was for. So I'm mixing now science with metaphysics, but in a way that's applicable. There's another book by Alice Bailey I recommend that is called The Consciousness of the Atom. So the average consensus and status quo of science laughs at that. But everything is a sentient being. Everything has consciousness down to the subatomic level. There are things that govern these molecules because there is an order, a higher order in this dimensionality that we're living in. And the ancients knew this. Hence we have Metatron, which is nothing but the chemical bonding angles of an atom. If the cellular matrix of the human cell is in order, you have the Star of David, you have Metatron. That means cellular order. Cellular biological life is in order and healthy and well, not metaphysical archangel and all of these mythological things that people attach to that. That's all nice for science that you don't understand it. I'm bringing it out of the myth into the science. So photons that are emitted by life force can be bioluminescent, but also now we have found out they are bions, biologically emitted by a life force. This is what we call these new photons. And the magnetics in the ground we call anomalies. Like they say that Sedona has the highest magnetic anomalies in the ground, but why is it that people get better here in the canyon? Why is it that people that do rehab here after, I don't know, chemo or cancer, whatever they have, and they get better? They're recovering. So I looked at what did they do in Germany? Well, people that had asthma, they put them in salt mines. So what farmers do. So why a salt mine? Well, you're surrounded by minerals, you're surrounded by photons, magnetics, and alignment, and earth resonance. Well, why is the earth resonance making the human cell structure better? So, side note, healing begins at the atomic level. Hospitals don't know that, unaware. So let's educate. Before we even go into supplements, let's go into human cells. And human cells have biocommunication going on. So there's second level electric, biochemical impulses being sent back and forth. When they're 100% in the body, you're well and you're okay. And your vibratory frequency is also high. But what's the highest level? Well, the highest level is light, as in how do photons communicate amongst cells? What happens here? But the photons cannot communicate properly if the atoms are not in order. So imagine every atom in your body is a generator or a reactor. So to understand the principle of what makes you sick and what keeps you healthy, you have to look at the smallest building block of the human vessel, namely atoms. Wellness begins, like I said, at the atomic level. So we know this by science. When an atom is balanced in the human vessel, it will have protons and electrons in an equilibrium. There's a holy order to how this works in an atom. A lot of people are not even aware of that. That has to do with consciousness. So again, protons and electrons have to be in an equilibrium in an atom. And as Dan Winters explained it, the charge distribution among those have to be in an equilibrium in balance. If that's not the case, we're already having a problem on the atomic level. So if, and this is how we're living through different influences of the environment, we have an electron overflow. The atom becomes negatively charged, it becomes an anion. Well, that has an effect if all your atoms become this anion. So literally you're discharging and losing vital life force. But if you are at a loss of electrons and the atom becomes positively charged, namely a cation, you know, anode, cathode, then you have a problem, because positively charged regions create disease that can be measured. Like cancer, you have lack of electrons, you're positively charged, and you also, what are you missing for the metabolitic essence of your cells? Negative ions, which are essential to get that motor going. So what negative ions do to the atomic structure is it brings balance to the vessel and upgrades your metabolism amongst the cells. So with negative ions around us, lots of negative ions, they attract airborne pathogens, bind them and oxidize them, clearing them and turning them into oxygen. So you have a stronger defense shield. So if your ionic field that you're emitting from your body is already in the basement, which we can measure with cameras, we have very expensive cameras, bioemission cameras, negative ionic perception, where you will literally have a blue aura. Well, these are the negative ions hovering around you. And the more you have, the better. How do we know that? Well, why is it that people in rehab at the Niagara Falls get better? I mean, same thing with all the places that I mentioned. Because you have negative ions in the air from hundreds of thousands to millions per cubic square for us to inhale and work with. King's Chamber, same thing. So I looked at what the Russians did. The Russians looked at, when does actually cell repair occur? Everybody talks about cell rejuvenation, and we have all these ointments and all of these theories that I hear. In all of these med beds, I believe there's a lot of possibility out there. But unless I see somebody with a med bed, I mean, people out there, they're claiming they regrow limbs. I'm not claiming that. I tell my people, do read the testimonials, as we're collecting data right now, of the people that had experienced that. And healing begins at the atomic level. So that's therapeutic and in layers and over and over and over. So the Russians have found out, so don't lose the train of thought, that the RNA has a repair mode, DNA, RNA. You know, RNA is the script writer for your DNA. And if repair needs to be done, the script writer needs to change the script. If you study Dr. Bruce Lipton, you'll understand what that means, how the RNA is writing the script. Actually, you know, if your belief system is actually non-essential and non-beneficial for your cellular matrix, and you develop the awareness that it is so, then the script will be changed and the body can actually better itself by finding the resonance where healthy resonance is. If you're living in an unhealthy environment, very difficult for the body to find its own healthy resonance. Hence, we have samadhi, vipassana, like in isolation, where you come to yourself, you basically do stimular fasting. No social media, no video, no input, nobody talking. For 9 days, you're sticking with yourself so the body can come back to, like, to your own ping. Your heart has its own coherence frequency, besides the brain-heart coherence, where you have your own rhythm. And most of us are lost in everybody else's rhythm and everybody's output or projections. And we need to find a way to remind ourselves, hey, this is you. So what I'm doing with my MedBed idea is the incentive to build that. And again, this is an experience. I'm not making claims, so nobody can say anything. Is I have observed that we have put the photons 12 years ago as a test run in a tanning bed that we repurposed. And we had a guy that had an inoperable tumor. Unfortunately, I can't interview him because we lost touch and contact with that person, but there's new cases coming. So I will do a video and with cases where people actually can show your data, like blood works and things are changing. And this guy's tumor disappeared after 6 weeks treatment, 1 hour in the CellWell prototype. That was 12 years ago. But it wasn't, we didn't put it in series. And I was traveling, I was in Berlin at the time. So this wasn't the time, but it kind of sat in my mind. I'm thinking if photons and photonic, you can say, essence surrounding the body can cause the body to heal. What else is possible? So I combined the technology by looking at Tesla, Wilhelm Reif. I looked at orgone. I looked at crystals at a storage medium. I looked at magnets in the ground. How do people ground? It's not just grounding in the exchange of electrons and the electrons that you're picking up from the ground that the body essentially needs. Not to mention that, 20 minutes on a beach in Hawaii will electronically reset the body for 1 year. That's how powerful that in and out for this. But not everybody can go on vacation or has the Niagara Falls in their back pocket or a pyramid chamber to sleep in. So I'm thinking, okay, we need a mobile device, a therapeutic device that mimics a scalar wave type resonance that, interestingly, side effect attracts tachyon. So when things are in order, tachyon fields actually emerge. And that's what these pyramids have all in common. And no electricity needed. So meaning it's kind of like a health and vital gate. So imagine I leaned on the science that is already there. So the Russians have found out that the cellular matrix begins to heal when the light is at 10 to the 15th, as in hertz. That's, imagine sunlight folded 15 times in its intensity will have that effect. Like a magnifying glass, you know, kind of folds the sunlight and then you can burn into wood. But this is what a laser is, and that is a different frequency. So I'm on the you have to understand, nuclear radiation is way, way on the lower spectrum where all the electronics are. That's on the lower spectrum of light. That's why it's destructive. That's why EMF is destructive. So the high end, which people haven't looked at, and I looked at, is like, at what hertz level is the healing taking place? And that's on the other side of nuclear radiation, which is like the worst. So I'm at, with what I've built, 10 to the 23rd hertz level, as in 23 times light folded becomes high dimensional. It's not like when people think, well, would it become like a laser and cut? Actually, no. Laser is actually lower frequential. That is actually, that a laser is designed for three-dimensional objects, and it's actually more destructive. And we use it to, you know, laser engrave or heal or remove tattoos and whatnot. These are the primitive stages. So the highest level, the higher you go, is to introduce a resonance to the human cell that the cell knows. No, you know, I'm not believing in one book, but I can quote one thing from the Bible, and that has to do with cellular memory. They say one step towards God, and God comes 3 steps towards you. Base that on cellular memory. If you give the cellular matrix an environment that enables it to remember its healthy status, it'll kick in and it'll do the miraculous work before any substance is coming into your body. And I'm still working on a CellWell protocol that will accompany people actually being in the medbed. So again, when the atomic neuron proton system of your mini reactors, macro reactors is not balanced, you are not healing anything. You know, you heard the cases of people, you know, sick, Robitussin or what is that, vitamin C, you're pumping it, and you're remaining sick. Why is that? First of all, you don't have the absorption rate to take in vitamin C, whatever level that is. And you're not even in resonance with that intake, because on a sub-level, there's a disease that it's like trying to feed a baby steak, that we have to spoon feed the system in order for the system to recalibrate and to come back. And I've seen that with hundreds and hundreds of clients when they're introduced to something that has a bioresonance. I mean, simple thing is, and you can Google that. I mean, science finds that out, and I'm saying, like, duh, like, are we that retarded that, an hour in the jungle of Hawaii completely de-stresses a person. The brain gets in an equilibrium, hemispheres synchronize, heart rate lowers, everything gets better. And when you put the person in the Times Square, having to find a train or catching a cab, the stress levels are like 500% up. Why is that? First of all, Times Square is electromagnetic hell. You're being bombarded from all angles with microwave, everything that is there. And if those who want to measure that, get an RF meter or a Gauss app and run through New York from train, from subway to the streets, and see how this thing is continuously in the red. So that means your cellular matrix is continuously taxed. I had people that were skeptics. They're like, oh, well, this is all suggestible. And I said, we're dealing with subtle frequencies and subtle energies, and it begins in the subtle. And the manifest takes time. And I joke, I say, well, I could put plutonium in your pockets. And you'll tell me, I don't feel anything. Well, in 12 weeks, you're dead. That's subtle energies for you. So, but we have to detect that what's detrimental and what is actually beneficial for us. So I built a bed that uses orgone energy, Wilhelm Reich, and I'm not talking the resin and these paperweight modules that people sell online and these fancy looking gadgets. I'm talking about an orgone accumulator. For that study, Wilhelm Reich biography, how is orgone energy actually by his science actually generated? Steel plates, sheep's wool, steel plates, sheep's wool, steel plates, and an accumulation system. But this accumulation system wasn't protected because it only worked electromagnetically. So I added crystals to that. For the crystalline alignment of the energy that's being attracted to the metal plates, the top plate of my photon shooters that are embedded in the bed are galvanic, because the galvanized surface has its own charge and stabilizes its own charge and makes it more potent. So I have orgone plates, photon emitting bags under the plates, and under the photon emitting bags, as in steel directs where photons go, I have magnets. And the magnets are rare earth magnets, they are black ferrite magnets, and they are for magnetic axial tonal alignment. Well, a doctor would know that releasing a coma patient, and they're all disheveled and they're not together, and they say, well, you'll be a mess and it's going to take a while, and I don't know when this is going to wear off. Not understanding or understanding that if you've been in a coma, for example, your entire magnetic system, your entire generative system is completely out of balance. And if you had a magnetic measuring device, you would see chakras all over the place. Stuff would hover out of your body. Your spirit body would be here. Your electromagnetic body would be here. Your plasma body would be here. Like everything imaginable out of alignment. And the ancients knew this. In the Egyptian templates, you see this symbol, that's the Ka, that's the plasma body. Well, plasma can only be stabilized when your fusion reactors are actually functioning that are inside of you. The cell is a fusion reactor. We have still yet to study nature and how that works and how is that stabilized, how is that running, and what fuses that. So let's see, science has proven that the highest regulatory potential for the human vessel when in health is you are surrounded by 6,000 negative ions per cubic square. And get a negative ion measure device and measure how much you have in your room. And I bet you in your room right now, on average, you have 100 to 300. That's the level of us not having beneficial energy and life force around us. So in nature, you have an average of 3,000 negative ions per cubic square. And at the beach, you have 30,000 negative ions per cubic square. Waterfalls up to 50,000. And in the pyramids, it's in the millions. So what I do with my bed is kind of, I mimic that in the millions, like where my ionic meter goes past, it's all 999. It can't read anymore. Like bombard the body with an ionic field is beneficial energy that you need to heal. So now imagine somebody in a coma and they're non-responsive and they're laying in the hospital. Measure that room. The negative ions are in the basement. The magnetics are not corrected. Like everything around that person is detrimental. So by luck, he may respond or not respond. A friend of mine did a test had his grandpa laying there, and we spoke and got an ion blower, got some of my devices, surrounded the guy with negative ions and photons, and he woke up out of a coma when the doctor said he's not responding. So you can change something when you experiment in, well, how does that work? And before I develop any formulas that go over people's heads, that's for people past my success story, they can do that. I want to know, well, does it work? Basically, I looked at how to make healing places portable and available for people. So resulting in building the MedBed, I showed in the video, James Rink did an interview with me and we put it on YouTube. It exploded. It went viral. Then we went from YouTube to Rumble. That also went viral. I went to LA with the MedBed and my booth exploded. Like I was like, my booth was so packed. I opened 8 in the morning and closed 11 p.m. at night. So we blew up the spot. So we're having major success here, and people had Foster Gamble in it. I didn't see that coming, and he had a kink in his shoulder, and that disappeared. People that had pains or swollen feet or inflammations going down, getting better. I had kids in there, I had animals in there, all positive news. One lady had a foot that was that swollen she couldn't put on her shoe. And then after 8 minutes or so, the swelling just disappeared and she can put her shoe back on. So I know I'm going in a direction where something is making sense for people. So basically, yeah, right now we're selling, we're building, and we're collecting data and letting people report. So not only that, the CellWell is based on the healing level, because healing level is that's stage 1. Stage 2 is the galactic heritage, reloading consciousness into your vessel, becoming aware of the self, knowing what your issues are, traumas being re-released, traumas being rebooted and replayed, and the body can actually go into and reset himself. They had a guy from Korea who went in there and he thought he was claustrophobic, but then he went through an imagery of, he saw a boy trapped in a well in Korea, and that gave him fear, and he remembered that image, and that created that fear in him, and he healed it within 5 minutes laying in the thing. So that's phenomenal. So basically it's conscious technology that addresses what needs to be addressed for you where you are at that moment, beginning and whatever level. What's the most immediate level? And a doctor can't know that unless you have a broken ankle or whatever. What's the most immediate soul level where the healing begins? Another person that wasn't into anything stands at my booth, lays in there, comes out and goes like, apparently I was on a ship, fully aware. I have on a uniform, I'm with the crew, you directing something, I'm being briefed, and I'm being sent back. So now I know I'm Arcturian and I'm here to do this and this, and I have to start my work. So people get activated. You know, so basically having an outer body experience while in the bed. So from healing to galactic levels, this is an elite level that I wanted to reach. And again, I'm not an infrared healer. I saw this, there's one called Thor something, an infrared healing bed that's like $100,000 just because, you know, you have a few frequencies in your heating people's cellular matrix that creates a detox. I'm at a completely different level. I'm transdimensional healing, photonic, intercellular therapeutic treatment to reload consciousness and overall well-being in the body, and lots of other miracles that unfold with people that have been in the med bed. There was a lady that had an irritation, insomnia, couldn't sleep. Within 5 minutes, she fell asleep. I have a phone number on my website for people that want to have questions. We have an office, or want to come to Sedona and experience it. We have it up and running, and make your own experience. And now I'm open for questions.
Yeah, that's wonderful. You know, wow, you're talking about the beneficial effects. That is superb. And did you say Procter Gamble had some treatment and it was really successful, wasn't it? That's wonderful.
Yeah. He had basically had some pain in his shoulder, and that pain disappeared.
Can somebody remove Jeff, please, Kathleen?
So gone.
Just
And then can they not be in a forum where they play that game?
Yeah, because they don't want
no sense.
They don't want people to be healed, Renee.
Yeah, I guess so. You know,
that's the thing. Yeah, but here we are for the people.
I mean, I'm a gamer, but if I'm gaming, I'm in the game forum. I'm not in a Zoom meeting. Like, this makes absolutely like no sense to me. Like,
it doesn't make any sense to us either one of us.
That's below ant level. Less than 2 chakras are activated.
Okay, let's just be calm and continue with what we're here to do.
Yeah, so I'm open for any questions that people have. People, I have to say, like in LA, they're like, really, you have a med bed? I thought the government is not going to roll out jack. Government's not going to disclose jack. Forever know this, because they don't know what's going on. Period. And they never will. I've been in this field since I was 11. I'm 54 years old now. I've never seen anybody come forward saying, okay, here it is, here are the plans. So we will have forever whistleblowers and narrations, but here's my ticket. We got to watch out for those storylines, and people cannot bring applicable science, question that, because it's a hamster wheel of the promised land. Just like religion, after death, paradise is promised, and it's never happening because you're not manifesting it here. And I'm here to say, as in heaven, so on earth, as in the mental faculty, so in the human vessel, you are here to manifest paradise on earth here, now. And then contact will take place, and wars will stop when we develop the efficient consciousness to understand what reality is. That has to be brought here.
Here.
Into physical form, you know?
Renee, can we show your med bed? I'm going to share screen and you can talk about it. I'm sorry, I have to go back 2 years ago when you were building it, because it's really fascinating. Doing a recap, yeah. So people can see that it's you who built it with your own bare hands, which is really unique as compared to other inventors and developers of med beds, okay? And it has
going to be the
effects.
Argon station.
Yeah, this is basically the shooter that you see, the shooting system that I'm building here.
We put in
It's a stainless steel plate
material
that I have now changed into a galvanized plate, so you actually get more smack. You have more energy. So this is how I'm beginning to build the system. I also made the system more compact and a little bit smaller. This is like a wide section that you're seeing. I cut that into 2 pieces and spread it out more, so you have more going on for you. So that's what you're witnessing. I'm in my backyard putting it together, basically. So to conceive the download of the science that took me 10 years to decipher all the stuff that comes in there, and then to build it took me almost 2 years, because I had no idea, how do I assemble this? How do I make this compact? Now I can build that thing in 3 weeks, but it was the development time that elongated the process of how to put all the pieces together. Also, not having really angelic investors, more people coming in wanting to own it before anything is built, and that kind of compromises what I do. So then
so if you go to Renee's website, ra-key.com/medbed, you'll be able to see the details that he was talking about earlier, the pictures and the videos as well, right?
Yeah,
you
the
have some
videos
video
are in the link.
Holographic
When you click on
MedBed
the
video.
link, then you basically will be led to the video.
There you go.
And that's where I'm explaining. It's like an hour lecture where I'm explaining.
I will fast forward.
My findings and things.
Peaceful game, just like Wall Street started, and it's speculation. You have nothing physical. So physical things is this: whatever gets you to move resources and put stuff together in assembly is actually the intelligence that we should be dealing with. So when I talk to, I make this short, to my galactic committee, which I'm very related to, the Arcturian Council and the Ra Collective and the Law of One. But we got to go past what's been channeled and past of metaphors to better your life. I'm here to, okay, how do we make this physical? So let's break down the story for those that I wait. Ascension bed, holo med bed, you know, what are they showing in movies? So in movies, it's a little bit of an abstract form for you to understand that this is possible. Not all holo med beds have to look like that. That you see, actually, you put a body on a bed, you have a computer that scans the cellular structure, the makeup and everything there is, and projects the, let's say, cardiovascular system above the body, and you can either go in there and change things, or the computer knows how to change things holographically and bring that back to the cell structure, and you can regrow limbs, heal hearts, unclog clogged arteries, make tumors disappear. That's the idea, okay? First of all, that is an affirmation of consciousness. For those who know about Vedic text, we are not conjuring this up or making this up or even writing or channeling this in science fiction because it's a fairy tale. We have somewhat of an idea, Atlantis, Lemuria, high-tech, where we used to be as a human race. And traces of cellular memory come back in terms of storyline. But if the story is that old that you end up having amnesia, you know, your brain effectively forgets the past. So do you remember what you did when you, I don't know, May 5th, 1974, where were you and what were you doing? You don't have memory like an autistic child that remembers every date and every station, but you have no social skills. So the functionality of our brain has been handicapped, which could be also another video. And to break into that is that you have to break
I'm
into
going to
ultimate
fast
piece
forward, yeah,
and
because
really
it's a bit long.
Well, it's for people like in their time that they can watch it when they
Yeah,
have
you
time.
can watch it in your own time,
It's almost like
folks.
magic
I just
is
wanted
actually
to show
healing.
the photographs.
So when we learn the
and say how
modalities of
Renee
healing
built
energy
it.
coming towards us,
Time
we will
lapse.
rewire this entire planet. And the minute this is coming forth, I've already seen people that build a clean, it's called clean
These are the
E,
magnets.
electricity filters to actually heal and clear out the 60 hertz of your electricity coming to this meat rot in the what ash. How
So
can we make
every magnet has to be
coding? This has to do with program coding of
South
knowing the
pole
alchemy of
up,
life, which is
so
called
the
magic or
North Pole
magi.
is affected.
The ancients knew this.
So I have a
Right, looked
unifield.
to us as miracles, but it is not magic, it is science, and it can be proven. So here's a few things that I did. I
So
make
that's
this
reflective, so
which is a
light
resonator,
gets
which is a
reflected back.
biodynamic,
You want
holodynamic
to turn the
photon
voice off
modulator
of that
that
crystal,
actually is
please?
made out of brass. I'm using the old jet symbol as in raising of the consciousness, refracted and reflected back to your heart, and your system is changed. And the substance
Sorry.
is very, very, very
There you
small.
go.
So the healing is almost impossible standing on it. You need to lay on the ground, so we increase that. I have packages that has reflective and refractive substance of nanoparticles, which is very, very expensive to come by, placed pounds in that bed. So the photons get sucked into the organic layer and pumped upward. And I'm testing it right now, and what happens is it's like a reboot. Your memory, brain fog disappears. People that test it out after 8 minutes fall asleep because for the first time the body goes into repair mode, original repair mode. Now, if you assist that with herbs and the substances that you need to help you to move debris, as in trash, out of your system, you heal faster. If you resist the healing, you might get better, but if your path is to not heal and you decide with your mind to override that, that's your royal right, then this bed can do nothing for you. So we are working with people that are open to test it out, to have things changed, things through light information changed. So we had cases where we individually custom made pendants. We had somebody that had Hashimoto's disease. The woman doesn't want to do an interview, and we need to get those who want to come forward, or fibromyalgia, OMS, and without any crap or medicinal synthesis, people are clear, and that's the idea for the future, that we know how to work with sound, color, and resonance, and bring that to a modality that this can be healing and helping people. So we have developed a few prototypes. I'll show you how, in part how it was put together. You'll see that from what prototype we want to go, what we want to actually do, and where we want to go, how to make it stronger. I've realized if the bed is too strong, you're laying 5 minutes on it and then you get sick. We don't want that. So I had to lower the intensity of the energy that we actually shoot into your body. So it's called Herxing or Herxheimer. When you are on this bed for 30 minutes a day, that should be enough for your body to recalibrate because your lymphatic system, everything is actually being hit with it. And here is the difference between a holographic med bed and regrowing limbs and all that good stuff that you have seen is we're leaning on, first off, the body wellness before we can reach a level to regrow limbs. To regrow limbs, you need to reach a plasmic level, which is the fourth state. There's been debates about it, but to me, there's no debate. There's solids, liquids, gases, and there's plasma. And plasma is that when the water inside of you is structured. That's why people want to juice. A lot of juices destroy the plasma that comes from the plant when they restructure the plant, cutting it down. I think that's one is called Norfolk. It's the only one they have measured in labs, and people don't know this. It maintains the structure. The plasma, as in the fourth state, where people say structured water, there's no such thing. There is this. The insects that can walk on water. And then they looked at this water surface tension, and what's under it. The water surface has a different structure than what's in or under the water. And that gel-type substance is what your cell has. The human cell is surrounded by the structured water. And when that is in danger, as in EMF, and disrupted, we're having problems. So what the cells do is the cells communicate with photonic impulses. I have to lie, let it be 100,000 impulses per nanosecond. If these are correctional data, like in the computer language it's called a corrector bit, is the cell asking, are you okay? The cell is replying yes, and then on and on. So if the communication on a light level in your body is disturbed due to stress, belief system, foreign suggestion, electromagnetic frequencies, 5G, microwave, satellite, anything in the gigahertz, military, special ops, whatever they zap us with, disrupts the psyche, disrupts the entire system of you. And those who want magic and moving objects and all that stuff, we can't even begin with those CDs, as in magical treats or traits, if the body is not clear and whole. Meaning the shadow self is fully integrated, the emotional body is balanced, the masculine, the feminine is balanced, the chakratic system is in the center. A lot of people's chakras is way out of smack. I can do videos without ending about this, where you can measure shouldn't work in there, microwaves shouldn't work in there, and it's just you and your cellular information coming back to you, hearing your own heart, hearing your own psyche, and increasing and building that, and fixing the body from that. No supplements required, only you to be in that field and eat healthy to support that your body can detox itself, because you are flushing every morning, detoxes every morning. And there's a video that I did called Eat Right for Life. If you eat according to the circadian rhythms, as in cyclical eating, you'll have no problem with weight anymore. You don't need a diet. You can, instead of diet, you can live it. You don't have to kill it or their height.
All right.
Soil samples, the same thing as in magnetics. Biological life was enhanced by 37% roughly.
Right, Renee, that was so good, so cool. Single-handedly built it yourself, as I said.
I have a new version. I don't know if I can share that real quick. If that
Oh,
even
yes,
works.
please, please. Oh, listen, folks, Randy Hatton got really ill. He wrote in and he couldn't get out of bed. So he has to take a rain check today. He can't do the presentation. So we've got plenty of time. And we are so sorry Randy's not well. Right.
So you see it?
Brian
you see
Bosco
what I'm sharing?
wanted to take over his slot, but I said no, Brian, he will get a slot at FESIG next time. Okay, so now you, Renee, and James have a long slot. All right.
So you see the picture?
Yes, we do.
Okay.
Thank you.
So that's the newer version of, again, repurposed tanning bed, where I remove all the electrics, everything out, and put the shooting system in there. No electricity, just scalar wave, tachyon, argon, negative ions, photons, and magnetic alignment taking place in here. And that's basically you're buying a therapy for life, and it's maintenance free. Before the isotopes in this storage medium break down, it'll take 15,000 years. So it's very energy efficient, I'd say.
Wow, no electricity. Did you hear that, folks?
Yeah.
Cool. Right.
Yeah. There are systems out there that use electricity, but they depend on that. I repurpose what's in the ether, and that works fine. So results of when you see my lectures, grass, if let's say this is close to like your living room or your backyard, the thing is that powerful. Grass grows 3 times the size. It's emerald green. Trees carry more fruits, like avocado trees go from, or peach trees, from 5 fruits to 60 fruits in 3.5 weeks. Bees return to beehives. All the fauna and flora in and around your living situation gets better. Grumpy neighbors move. This entire system recalibrates a gigantic, I say, toroidal and paloidal field in and around your house, because it's kind of what you can say a miniature Stargate. Without removing you, it's just reflecting beneficial energy back to its core, and everything that is out of alignment will be affected, positive, and very subtle and very gentle. But over time, you'll see the results. So that's that. So
okay, all right. Let's do this. Okay, let's cut this into 2 sessions, right? Because Randy's not making it today for the second session, right? It's not well. Let's say a prayer to him, right? And I would really like to, Fres, you co-chair with me to do the Q&A session now. And James comes in and talk about his experience, and then we stop meeting, and then we have the second session where James will be doing an appraisal of all the med beds and all that with you as well in the forum, Renee.
Yeah. I will also want to know from James his experience with the different med beds that are electrically and whatever data they have, because I've been checking other sites and other claims, and people have no scientific data, and I have science to back it up.
Right.
So
let's
I want to see
discuss
how
that in the forum.
Yeah, we need that, because we need to anchor it in so it makes sense, you know.
Certainly.
I want really, my interest is that people get better, heal, and have physical data that it is so. So even a doctor cannot debate when somebody's heart is recovering and they don't have arrhythmia anymore, and in the measurement it doesn't show up. Then I don't need anybody to believe in anything, whether you're a patent industry lawyer or whatever. It's evident when something takes place, the dreaming stops and a new reality takes place. And that's the paradigm, the age of Aquarius we're going in, is the age of knowing it, having the experience that it is so, not having to believe in something that is promised that you have to trust, but you have no experience because you don't know.
Mm-hmm.
So now knowledge, knowing the ledge, knowing where we are, reality.
Mm-hmm. Press, do you want to do the Q&A?
Well, I would love to. And what's fun is he's already answered my question, and I'm going to put it back up again so that we reiterate this point. In many of the med beds, we have to address aberrant frequencies, both internal and external, pertaining to the device. What Renee has shown is he's disconnected the electricity. And what I'm going to ask is, can you address the aberrant frequencies inside or outside of your device and how they either apply or don't apply to your system?
So the one thing is, your own cellular output is reflected through mirroring your body. That comes from an experience where Russians have figured out people heal just in a mirrored room, as in reflecting the self back to this original self. Somehow that works till infinity, where you are clear and you do come back clear over time. So the subtle frequencies that you can measure in the medbed is biophotonic emission. It's expensive if you want to measure that. Magnetic Gauss level up to 20,000. You can measure that with your phone with a Gauss app. And you, with an EMF detector, it pulses its own natural EMF frequency. So I held one, UFO hunters were pretty baffled. They held that thing and it just goes bing, 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 bing. There's no battery in it. It runs its own earth current and somehow weaves in the Schumann resonance and stabilizes it. And it's kind of like a web of tachyon scalar wave type standing EMF column that steadily keeps pulsing a signal. And I copied that from how pyramids do that. So I'm basically replicating that, what they do, without needing this big chamber, by creating a focal point of those devices. So what you can measure in there is negative ions, photons, and magnetic flux. You know, how that works in alignment is tough to measure because we don't have machines that can actually triangulate coordinates to measure a Metatronic field. Not yet. ETs have that. That's in my contact, but they show me they have camera systems. They can show me, is there a holy field over it? Or does the field look like crap? It's like kind of like a webbed signature that you would see with a high-tech camera that maybe will be invented in 2,000 years. I don't know. So that's as far as I can describe what this thing does.
Thank you very much. And that's the only question I had waiting, and so we're going to go to question and answers from the participants. If you would place it into chat for me, please. I'll do my best to read it for Renee. Okay, this is, that's into chat. Renee, do you sell your devices? Is one of the questions.
Yes, I'm selling the med beds. We're in production. This is the picture I showed you was the second one that went out that was sold already. I have sold a third one and a fourth is in production. So I have a lady coming that's very interested. She wants to pick it up. So that's going to happen next week. Side note, somebody said, has anybody had any experience with the cachet version of MedBed? To me, that's a lot of theory and philosophy. There's no evidence, no picture, not a shred of anything physical that's existing. So we got to really watch out when people create these rumors that Dr. Keshe has a MedBed out is a rumor. You know, there's a lot of talk, and they also talk about it's regrowing limbs. It's not fact. Nobody has experience. There's no picture, because here's the thing: once you have something, it's there. You can show it. You can film it. That's what I'm doing with my YouTube channel. I'm evidently showing what's taking place. So this Keshe med bed doesn't exist as far as I'm concerned, because I tried finding it and all I hear is talk and CGI and computer animation, nothing in physical form. So I would be cautious with that information.
On your webpage, or is there a way that people can come to when you do a demonstration, let's say at a conference? Is there a way that they may come and visit you and experience your MedBed?
Yes, we have an office where there's an office number that they can call and they can book sessions and experience the MedBed.
And that's on your webpage.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's on my website. Yeah, somebody said, yeah, Keshe is a fraud. Keshe is not a fraud in my mind. He has technology that I have replicated myself that he uploaded and YouTube had erased, like these GANs producing machines, and they work.
Mhm.
It's just business-wise, the dude is more scientist than business savvy, and that's his handicap, I think. That's all, you know. There's so much going on and so much rumors of all of these things and that can be done, and it's a little bit overproduced and overboard and out of control and unstructured. So some of the stuff with the nano coating and things work. We have also tested the a side note, electric saving devices. These grafting is 10%, 8%. You can save electricity. It's not really the savior of the world, but he has somewhat of an idea. But again, it's very unstructured and all over the place. So, and money-wise, I don't even know. The things you hear is I wouldn't invest or bet on it. That's all.
Thank you very much. You've sparked the entire international crowd now, and they're wondering, is there any of your beds in Canada or places in Europe, other places in the world at this time, or coming
Not
soon?
yet. Yeah, I had somebody from the Czech Republic calling me, and he wanted to know what my capacity is. And well, if it gets to that, I will film it. And we're open to ship to the world. I mean, you know, it's the bed's around 50K, and then there's shipping. So we'll see, you know. Okay. I'm starting step by step because I had too many corrupt. You have to understand, like, the corruption out there and the greed is so high that when you produce something like this, it's not freaking MIB or nor the government. It's the greed of people on a base level that kills what we do. That's why it took me 10 years to do this, because there wasn't a billionaire that would say, you know what, Ra, here's $4 million. Do what you have to do. It's not like I want to buy a Lamborghini. And I'm not complaining. I have help now. People come in there and they want your business. They want your rights. They want to own everything. And then you get to produce nothing and your stuff is being shelved. That's not even seeing patent industry. So it makes it very hard for people like us to say, this is what I need. I need nobody in this, because I'm channeling also the science, putting it together and putting it out unhindered. And the fastest way for me to do it was to do it myself, investing in myself, which took longer, but everything is paid. There are no bills, no open loans. Everything is covered, and I can deliver slowly, but I have full control, and I prefer that.
Excellent. We have a question on when we have things like parasites in the body, either in the intestine or in the blood. Is there something that this works, or let's say infections in the mouth, teeth, or gums? Have you had any experience with dealing with this type of entity, which are basically, we're talking foreign bodies that have invaded the human body?
Well, implants and foreign bodies, in my experience with people, what they have reported to me, cannot exist in that environment that I'm producing. I'm also creating a natural and alkaline environment in the cellular matrix, and parasites cannot survive that. Cancer can't survive that. It's impossible. I'm changing the charge, but I'm also like, again, I'm devising a protocol to change the health baseline that will accompany the bed, so the healing modality is better. You know, it's basically, it makes it harder to work for you if you live crappy.
Mm-hmm.
But if you have a certain diet and regulation with that, it accelerates your healing process on all levels.
This really segues into the next question, which is going along more with the teeth again. And we have people with dental implants. Some of them have mercury fillings. Some of them have gold fillings. Some of them have enamel or plastic in their teeth. How does your system affect, either positive or negative, these other foreign things that's in their mouth?
Well, it will help the body to recalibrate, but I had, where you can say $8,000, all my mercury fillings removed. The bed doesn't do that for you. There are biomechanical aspects you must take care of. And I went to the doctor and I said, everything that I had from childhood, every little speck, every detail, and it was like $8,000 over like 7 years. This was no joke.
It's no
Remove
joke.
all the metal out of my mouth, and I got better. That's mechanically what has to be done.
Yeah,
You know?
mechanically
The
on
bed
myself.
can help you, but the bed can assist you in healing. But if you have a mercury still bleeding, well, then the fact remains you have mercury still bleeding. It does not disintegrate that. And parasites, I suggest, black walnut tincture, clove tincture. Get those natural herbs while you're in the med bed to get the parasites out. Get into cleansing, get into fasting, get into things that are beneficial for your body on a biomechanical aspect.
Excellent.
But let's say if you have broken bones or a messed up knee, well, instead of 8 weeks, this can heal in 3 weeks.
Interesting. We look at other chemicals that we're taking into our bodies. Let's start with water. In municipal water systems, we're dealing with chlorine and fluoride, and this may have an effect on the person's health as a continuing reintroduction of toxin. Do you want to talk about that for a minute?
Well, to all the people here, who in the chat has a filter in their shower? I bet no one. But that's where it begins. You have arsenic in the water. Guess what? In 10 minutes, it's 10 cups of water that your skin is absorbing. So with all the crap that comes from your tap water, you're putting it right back in. Well, if you do shower in a shower that's unfiltered using the med bed, again, the med bed suffers, assisting you in getting better because you're still subject to bringing toxins into your vessel. I have a filter and a different shower system on my shower to prevent that.
Excellent. This is a good question, and I find it interesting. We have replacements, hips and that kind of stuff. What about titanium inside the body where they've...
It's neutral. Now, titanium is pretty much neutral.
Yes.
That's actually a good choice. It's very neutral, and it doesn't really affect what the bed does. What I do not allow in the bed is pacemakers.
Yeah. No.
Because they're highly magnetic and they will disrupt your ticker. So no.
Yeah, that was the question that was kind of involved with the question that I asked you, was internal and external frequencies trapped inside your device, and
it's highly magnetic. Like credit cards will be erased in there, guaranteed.
Wow. You talked about earlier things like cancer and other items. Would you like to reiterate quickly about how this is affected? Is it a quick thing, a slow thing? How about people that are suffering from different stages of cancer with your system? And we're not saying
I will interview a guy. Yeah, I will interview a guy who has beat cancer, not necessarily with the med bed, but while testing it after. Where is he going? And he will bring his papers to show blood work and what he's taking and the regimens he's doing to heal that. You want to make sure that you're on a regimen and monitor what you're having so you see progress. And that's the evidence I will use to present with everything I find.
Great. In some of the other technologies that we've seen over the years, this goes with copper bracelets with magnetic pieces around them, including socks that you can wear in your shoes that are magnetically lined, magnets that fit over your head or on your shoes. Would you care to address those in contrast with what you're doing with your magnets?
Yeah, well, my magnets are way higher than these little tiny magnets that you're wearing. Even though I suggest nicking magnetic soles, very healthy, just to keep yourself regulated in a magnetic field. I have myself, my bed is magnetic. I put magnets under my bed just to have a regulated magnetic field, because everybody can measure that with an EMF detector or a Gauss app. The magnetic field of Earth is 0.4%. It's almost gone. That explains also why we have so much ungroundedness and war and crap going on, because we're not connected. We're literally disconnected to what actually is the current of the planetary frequency. So
this is a nice segue into the next question. This is going very well. We go into earth grounding, and individuals like myself find that we're not wearing our shoes as often anymore, and we're running around barefoot, both indoors and outdoors. What about earth grounding and the health of the individual through this process? And do you see something like this also happening with people who have gone through your med beds? Are they doing more earth grounding?
So what I do also is I make these pendants to help the body maintain in its own bioresonance, because even you're barefoot at home, but your house is built out of limestone, you're not connected to the Schumann platform. So you're still disconnected. And the body needs an orientation, hence nature. So I make these keys to keep the body and the heart toroidal field reminding, hey, that's where your actual resonance is. A lot of people that travel have that. I have pilots buying like even big keys. I have ones called Omega. They sit in a cockpit for hours and hours, and they say they feel much better having this device on when they sit in their cockpit, and their colleagues laugh and they mark them, but they say, Rob, what can I tell you? I feel better wearing this thing. And so I'm about bioresonance and enhancing that. So also when you're barefoot, you want to be barefoot out or in the woods, on the rocks, or on the beach. That is the most effective way. The magnetics are also a way of grounding you into your body. A lot of people are out of their body. They're magnetically not really aligned with themselves. They're in their mind, and there's like an inversion of themselves somewhere here. And magnets bring you right in. I had people, they don't want to be responsible to be in life. They don't want to be on earth, and they held the pendant. They're like, I don't know if this is for me, it's too much. And I'm like, you don't want to be in your body. You don't like being here. No, actually. And then all of the stuff comes up. They don't want to be on a planet. They miss home. And I'm like, that's it. So I know it's working. Even if somebody would be like, I don't know what this is, I want to reject it, because it kind of makes me accountable for me.
Right. I think on that end, on that note, we need to end now, because it's 1 hour 30 something minutes now, 1.5 hours. Makes a good length of a video. Because you'll be on again in the next session with James. Okay, Fres, what do you think? Is there any more?
Excellent. And we're basically just going through some of the things that we're basically what Renee's talking about is returning back to the Schumann resonance. It's back to balance again, and
it's back to balance, absolutely. And also the Schumann resonance is a consistent 7.83 hertz, sometimes 8 hertz. When people say it's 43 or 8 or whatever it is, this is all plasmic. Schumann resonance has to do with the circumference of the planet, and I spoke with a guy who was a NASA consultant, and he measures that every day. There is no spike, or when they say it's 24 today, this is a myth. It is a consistent 7.83 hertz, and it's not, and one sound makes it all. It's cascading. It's going from 1 hertz, up to 8 when it's like maximum, and then it goes back down. And that's a frequency that maps our biosystem, and we are in resonance with this entire thing running. So just running is not the trick. You have to know how nature runs the multiple frequencies lining up to that. And that's what Schumann resonance and Schumann frequency is.
Thank you.
That's wonderful. Thank you, Renee. I think have all the questions been answered on chat? Yeah. Yes.
This would go on forever, and we've got another session, so I'm going to turn it back to you.
Renee's staying on. Yeah. Renee's staying on anyway, so you can ask more questions in the next session. Right. And we're going to have James coming in with his super duper video, making an appraisal of all the med beds and comparisons and whatnot. That'll be fun. All right, folks, there being no other business for this first session of Physics 110th meeting, it will now be adjourned to the second session. So we have a 5 minutes toilet break, party break, we call it. Thank you so much, Renee.
We'll
It's
use that break,
wonderful.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, listening to you is great. Thank you.